So, continuation of the previous video, research ethics. Research ethics are fundamental principles and standards that guide the conduct of research to ensure the rights, dignity, and well being of participants and the integrity of the research process. So, adhering to ethical guidelines is essential in research to maintain trust, credibility, and the responsible pursuit of knowledge. So, some key principles are there like informed consent, meaning that means participants must be fully informed about the research, its purpose, procedure, potential risks, and benefits. They should voluntarily agree to participate or withdraw at any time. In application, researchers should obtain written informal consent from participants, except in case where it is not feasible or ethical, with appropriate alternatives like asset or consent from a legally authorized representative. Then, protection of participants means researchers must safeguard the physical and the psychological well being of participants. They should minimize harm and discomfort and offer appropriate support and comfort. Then, application ensure that the study design and procedures prioritize the safety and welfare of participants, conduct risk assessments, and provide access to counseling if necessary, privacy and confidentiality. Researchers should respect the privacy of participants and keep their identities and personal information confidential. Application anonymize data, store it securely, and report findings without revealing individual identities. Protect personal information from unauthorized access. Justice and equity. Researchers should ensure that the benefits and burdens of research are distributed fairly, avoid exploring vulnerable or marginalized populations. Application select participants with attention to diversity and avoid discrimination. Address disparities in research and the distribution of its benefits. Then beneficence. Researchers must act in ways that promote the well being of participants and society, maximizing benefits and minimizing harm. Conduct a cost benefit analysis to evaluate potential risks and benefits. Ensure that research aims to advance knowledge, improve lives, and contribute positively to society. Society. Scientific integrity. Researchers must maintain honesty and integrity in all aspects of research, from the design and conduct to reporting results. Avoid fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism in research, and ensure transparency and reproducibility in research findings. And research compliance. Researchers should adhere to ethical standards, guidelines, regulations set forth by ethical committees, institutions, and funding bodies. Seek approval from ethical review boards when required. Follow institutional and national ethical standards and research protocols. Ethical considerations in specific research areas. Medical research involves additional ethical concerns related to human health and safety, clinical trials, patient consent, and privacy of medical records. Then, social science research concerns may include informed consent or sensitive topics, protecting vulnerable populations, and ethical considerations related to data collection and participant anonymity. Then, animal research involves ethical considerations about treatment and care of animals used in experiments, adhering to guidelines for their welfare. Then, environmental research addresses ethical concerns related to the impact of research on ecosystems and environmental protection. Then, biomedical research involves ethical principles governing genetic research, stem cell research, and human cloning, among other topics. Then, cross cultural research requires cultural sensitivity and respect for diverse norms, beliefs, and practices. Ethical oversight. Ethical overview Ethical review boards or institutional review boards, IRBs, play a vital role in ensuring the ethical conduct of research. They evaluate research proposals to determine if they meet ethical standards and regulations. Researchers are required to seek approval from these boards, especially for studies involving human participants. In conclusion, research ethics are a fundamental component of responsible research practice. Researchers must uphold these principles to protect participants, ensure the credibility of their work, and contribute to the advancement of knowledge with integrity. Violations of research ethics can have severe consequences, including harm to individuals and damage to the reputation of the research community. Then, communication. Communication is the process of conveying information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, or messages from one person to group or other. It is a fundamental aspect of human interaction as it is vital for the exchange of thoughts and understanding among individuals and communities. Types of communication. Verbal communication. Verbal communication involves the use of spoken or written words to convey messages. It includes face-to-face conversations, telephone calls, speeches, and written documents. Then characteristics, it is immediate, precise, and allows for clarity in conveying information. Then non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication comprises messages conveyed without words, such as words through conveyed through body language, facial expressions, gestures, tone of voice, and eye contact. Characteristics, non-verbal cues can often convey emotions, attitude, and additional meaning that complement verbal communication. Visual communication. Visual communication uses visual elements such as image, graphs, charts, diagrams, and videos to convey information. Characteristics, visual communication is effective for simplifying complex data, presenting information in a visually appealing way, and aiding in comprehension. Written communication, meaning written communication involves conveying messages to written text. It includes letter, email, reports, memos, and documents. Characteristics, written communication is enduring, provides a record of information, and allows for careful composition and revision. Interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication occurs between individuals and face-to-face or one-on-one interactions. It includes conversations, discussions, and dialogues. Characteristics. It is highly interactive, and the exchange of information is immediate and personal. Then mass communication. Mass communication involves the dissemination of information into a large diverse audience through media channels such as newspapers, television, radio, and the internet. Characteristics include one to many, unidirectional, and often used for informing, entertaining, or persuading a wide audience. Intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is the internal dialogue that takes place within an individual's mind. It involves self-reflection, decision-making, and processing thoughts and emotions. Then characteristics. Interpersonal communication is essential for self-awareness and personal growth. Then characteristics of communication. Two-way process. Communication involves both the sender and the receiver. It is an interactive process where information is exchanged. Then encoding and decoding. Information is encoded by the sender and decoded by the receiver. Encoding involves translating thoughts into a message, while decoding is the interpretation of the received message. Then medium. We need medium. Medium in the sense medium or channel through which the message transmitted. This can be verbal, non-verbal, written, or visual. We know that. And we need feedback. Feedback in the sense effective communication often includes feedback, which is the response or reactions of the receiver. Feedback helps in confirming understanding and can be both verbal and non-verbal. Context. Communication occurs within a context or setting which may influence how the message is understood. Cultural, social, and environmental factors can impact communication. Then purpose. Communication serves various purposes such as informing, persuading, entertaining, or building relationships. The purpose of communication guides its form and content. Barriers to communication can hinder the effective exchange of information. These barriers can include language differences, distractions, or misinterpretation. Then clarity and consensus. Effective communication is clear and concise, avoiding ambiguity and unnecessary complexity. And cultural sensitivity. Recognizing and respecting cultural differences is crucial for successful communication, especially in multicultural environments. So, in summary, communication is a multi-phased process that involves the transmission of information through various means. Effective communication relies on clarity, understanding, and the consideration of both verbal and non-verbal elements. It is an integral part of human interaction and plays a pivotal role in all aspects of life, from personal relationships to professional endeavors. Then effective communication types. Effective communication is the art of conveying a message in a clear, accurate, and meaningful way so that it is understood and the intended response is achieved. It plays a crucial role in various contexts, including interpersonal, intercultural, group, and classroom communication. Verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal communication meaning verbal communication involves using spoken or written words to convey messages. It includes face-to-face conversations, speeches, telephone calls, emails, and written documents. Characteristics to ensure effective verbal communication. It is essential to be clear, concise, and use appropriate language. And active listening is a crucial aspect of successful verbal communication as it allows for understanding and providing relevant responses. Then non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication involves conveying messages without words. This includes body language, facial expressions, gestures, tone of voice, eye contact, and other non-verbal cues. Then characteristics. Non-verbal cues can significantly impact the effectiveness of communication. They often convey emotions, attitudes, and additional meaning that complements verbal communication. Being aware of and using non-verbal cues effectively can enhance understanding. Then intercultural communication. Intercultural communication refers to communication between individuals or group from different cultural backgrounds. It involves recognizing and respecting cultural differences and effective conveying message despite these differences. Characteristics. Effective intercultural communication require cultural sensitivity, awareness, and adaptability. It is essential to avoid misinterpretation due to cultural differences and foster mutual understanding. Then strategies for intercultural communication. Cultural awareness. Understand the cultural norms, values, and practices of both your culture and other parties' culture. Active listening. Pay attention to verbal and non-verbal cues and ask to clarify ask questions to ensure accurate understanding. Then adaptability. Be open to adjusting your communication style to align with the cultural norms of the other party. Respect. Show respect for the other culture's customs and practices. Then group communication. Group communication occurs when a message is exchanged among three or more people. It can take place in various settings, including meetings, collaborative projects, and team discussions. Characteristics include effective group communication involves active participation, collaboration, and the clear expression of ideas and opinions. It requires good facilitation and the ability to manage conflicts constructively. Then strategies for group communication. Clear objectives. Define the purpose and goals of the group communication. Roles and responsibilities. Assign roles within the group to ensure everyone's participation and active participation is needed. Encourage all group members to contribute their ideas and perspectives. Conflict resolution. Address conflicts openly and constructively to maintain a productive group environment. Then classroom communications. Classroom communication occur in educational settings and encompasses interactions between teachers and students as well as among students themselves. Effective classroom communication is crucial for learning. It requires clear instruction, active engagement, and a supportive and inclusive environment. Strategy for classroom communication. Clear instruction. Ensure that the instructions are clear and easy to understand. Then active engagement. Encourage students to participate in discussions, ask questions, and express their ideas. Then feedback. Provide constructive feedback to students to help them improve. Then inclusivity. Foster an inclusive environment that values diversity and encourages participation from all students. In summary, effective communication is essential in various contexts and it relies on both verbal and non-verbal elements, cultural sensitivity, and strategies to facilitate understanding and mutual respect. In intercultural and group communication, acknowledging and adapting to differences are key. In the classroom, effective communication is fundamental for the teaching and learning process. Then barriers to effective communication. Effective communication is vital for understanding cooperation and achieving desired outcomes. However, various barriers can hinder the smooth flow of communication. Identifying and addressing these barriers is crucial for successful communication. Here are key barriers provided, like language barriers. Differences in language, dialects, or accents can create misunderstandings. Language barriers may also include jargon or technical terms that are unfamiliar to the recipient. Use clear and plain language, avoid jargon, and offer translations or interpretations when necessary. Then, cultural barriers. Cultural differences in norms, values, customs, and communication styles can lead to misinterpretation and offense. And understanding develop cultural sensitivity, learn about other cultures, and adapt communication to be respectful and inclusive. Then psychological barriers. Psychological factors such as stress, anxiety, prejudice, or emotions can obstruct effective communication. Create a supportive and empathetic environment, encourage open discussions, and manage emotions constructively. Then physical barriers. Physical in the sense, noise, distance, or poor lighting can disrupt communication. Address them accordingly. Use appropriate technology and find conductive environments for communication. Then semantic barriers, which include misunderstandings due to differing interpretations of words, phrases, or symbols. Clarify terminology, avoid ambiguity, and ensure common understanding of key terms. Then perceptual values. This arise from differences in how people perceive and interpret the same information. So seek to understand others' perspective and be open to different viewpoints and promote active listening. Then information overload. Some other points are there which we will be learning tomorrow. Thank you for listening.